and welcome to the Total Soccer Show. My name is Daryl Grove, and I'm joined by a man who now has to admit that he's pronouncing Weston McKennie's name wrong all along. His name is Taylor Rockwell. Hello.
I will admit nothing, ever, forever.
So I got a tweet from Kaka Arctic, who I don't believe is actually Kaka in the Arctic, but it's a good Twitter name.
You never know.
Who is pointing me to a Schalke's English Twitter feed with, you've heard of Elf on a Shelf? There's a player's face on a penny, and it was Weston McKennie. So McKennie rhymes with penny, not McKinney.
Have we heard him say his last name?
No.
Yeah, see, there's still plausible deniability. Or beyond a reasonable doubt. I don't know. Either way, you never know.
You're going to take this to court.
But it's probably McKennie.
All right. Speaking of McKennie, we talked about sort of Bruce Arena's comment yesterday that we are not going to look at new faces for World Cup qualifiers. I've got to say, I'm kind of not on board with this idea.
Why is that?
But just because it's obvious to me that the US needs some strengthening in midfield. So why not look at new faces for a World Cup qualifier? Why not bring in Weston McKennie? Why not bring in Tyler Adams, who scored 2 goals for New York Red Bulls?
But I mean, I feel like you know the answer. Like you're asking this question as though you don't know the obvious answer.
I know Bruce's answer.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't want to risk it. He doesn't want to bring in people who either aren't going to get minutes and then you're taking them away from their club, or you just don't know what they're going to do at international level versus players that he thinks at least he can rely upon to get the results he needs. Then you could experiment with friendlies in the lead up to the tournament.
Okay, I suppose that's true. But I would still like to start some sort of campaign for Bruce to get new faces in.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not disagreeing. My point is simply that, you understand, you know why he's doing that.
I do.
So then it gets to, but should he be doing that? Is that approach maybe the best approach? And I would say no. I don't think it is.
So you're with me that maybe it's worth adding McKennie to this squad. Because you could call him up, right? You could call him up and get him in camp on Monday or Tuesday. You've got the whole week to look at him. You could decide, okay, I've met him, maybe he's not right for this game, and you've just wasted the 23rd spot in your training camp on him, right? That's not so bad. You can even do what Bruce always does and call 26 players up and just have McKennie in the camp no matter what.
But I would even go one step further and say that, put it this way, say, I start to, get a little lazy in my research on the podcast, and, I'm not quite performing. All of a sudden, maybe we're not going to go to the Podcast World Cup because I haven't been, playing so well, and then suddenly I come into the office and there's this, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed 23-year-old who's only wanted to talk about soccer and always wants to research. And I'm like, all right, maybe I'll step my game up a little bit. You do professional soccer podcasting in Germany for a very big German podcast? Okay, all right. Although I'm going to be a little sharper in my passing.
For a very big German podcast that hasn't won anything in 50 years.
Well, there is that.
Okay, speaking of winning things, we're going to talk today about the Champions League. We did a quick review of Dortmund Real Madrid straight after the game, but now we've watched a bit of footage, a bit of action from all around the Champions League. We're going to do our Romelu Lukaku inspired thumbs up, thumbs down review of the Champions League action. I see Taylor shuffling his papers over there.
Well, I'm going to start where we left off with the Champions League because I've got some more thoughts from Real Madrid 3, Borussia Dortmund 1.
Okay.
I'm going to say thumbs up to Real Madrid, who have not lost a Champions League group stage in 5 years. Not bad. 29 games played thus far through the group stages. 22 wins, 7 draws, 84 goals scored, 25 conceded.
All right.
Decent numbers. The last time they lost against Borussia Dortmund in 2012 when coached by Jose Mourinho. So it shows you just how strong and how consistent this Madrid team is, specifically in the Champions League and maybe in La Liga as well. I've got another one from this game unless you've got anything there.
No, go for it.
I showed you the video of this before. It relates to Champions League because he did it against Madrid again, but Roman Bürki's pre-game tradition.
The keeper, by the way.
Yeah, he steals the ball from the official or the official mascot or whomever it is. Whenever they go to do the coin toss, the officials are always standing there. They always have the match ball. He always gets it. He takes it out of the hands. He takes it out of the mascot's hands. He nutmegs the referee to get it. He makes one of the teammates pass to him. Either way, he just always wants to hold the game ball for at least a couple seconds.
So what is this about? Is this a pre-match ritual that's kissing Fabian Barthez's head? Or is this sort of I want to get a feel for the ball, this is the match ball, I want to see it, I want to touch it before the game starts?
I guess I wonder if maybe the first time he did it, he wanted to get some familiarity with the match ball, and then he saved a penalty or something, and after that it became I'm doing this every single game.
Because there is a logic to it, right? Which is you warm up, loads of balls shot at you, and they're all kind of the same, right? They all have specific standards that they have to meet to be official balls. But there is only one match ball that starts the game, right? I know that it gets switched out during the game, so I can see why you would want to just get a grip on that and be like, okay,
absolutely,
we've met now. I'm familiar. I can catch you.
But and so that is logical. It's just so much of it to me is a 3 or 4 year old asking for the soccer ball, where like they're doing the coin toss, like it's before a Champions League game. They're trying to get the game going, and you can just see him in the background like tapping the referee and then pointing at the ball, like I want that.
Yeah, I've seen him also like reach between the referee's legs and roll the ball back,
or distract them from literally like in the middle of the coin toss. I forget who he asked. I think it was Socrates. Can you pass me the ball?
Yeah,
like, okay, yeah. Like, go away, 3-year-old.
He should also maybe before the match get himself familiar with his near post.
Nah, that's unnecessary. You don't need to worry about that.
Berkey burn.
So that's all I've got from that game.
Okay.
So 2 thumbs up for me for that game.
Okay, so I'm going to move us to the big game that everybody's talking about. It is PSG 3, Bayern 0. All sorts going on here. We'll talk about the Ancelotti firing, which came this morning.
Yep.
But first of all, I want to say, thumbs up to Neymar's super ego for sublimating the desires of Neymar's id and getting PSG off to a fast start and giving Bayern's defence a Freudian slip.
So he could have had a goal but passed it to somebody else?
It's even better than that. So
it took me a while. I was with you for most of that.
There was lots of talk of Neymar just wanting to win the Ballon d'Or, wanting to do all the flash stuff, right? The first goal is scored by Dani Alves. PSG get the ball back because Neymar hustles on that left wing as part of a PSG sort of very Unai Emery press. So they press Bayern when Bayern have the ball. Neymar presses one man, the ball is pushed further up. Neymar runs back, presses the next man. I think eventually it's the left back Kurzawa robs Kimmich of the ball, and then PSG are away. And then it's Neymar dribbling, right? And you think, oh, Neymar's going to run at the defence, Neymar's going to try something. He uses that star power in the way that the best players do, which is to draw everybody in and then not try and beat 5 players at once, but be like, you're all drawn in. I'm going to square it over there to Mr. Dani Alves, who's in all the space that's been left behind. Dani Alves scores.
He does. And all of that was brilliant. I have to ask, though, what did you make of Dani Alves' finish? Because it's played wide into space. I think he's, maybe 18 yards out, just about inside the box when he gets it, takes a touch, and then shoots. And I think it's deflected, or maybe the keeper gets a foot to it. And I just remember thinking that move was really good. All the energy put in by the PSG players was really good. And then it ended sort of luckily, I think.
Honestly, I didn't pay enough attention to it because, weirdly, even though I'm talking about Neymar sort of deflecting attention from himself,
still focused on Neymar?
I'm all focused on Neymar, yeah.
That's okay, because I was focused on Neymar for the second PSG goal. And I'm going to say maybe thumbs up for the feud being over, I guess.
So Cavani scores. Yes. The assist is from Kylian Mbappe, correct, right? Not from Neymar. Yeah.
Yeah, and so when I first watched this on this is why you shouldn't just watch 12-second streamable videos.
No.
I thought the feud was very much on because Neymar is in space. I think again serving as a distraction. Mbappe has the ball on the right, squares it to Cavani. Cavani hits it from outside the box one time, puts it in the back of the net.
It does bypass Neymar, right?
Yeah. And then Cavani runs off to celebrate. Neymar stays exactly where he is and waits for Mbappe to come over, and then the two of them celebrate. But then eventually he goes over and does a little bit of a head hug with Cavani. After the game, he said basically, there's no real issue here. People like to talk about things that they don't know about and make things up.
And also Neymar scores later on, and they do a similar hug. It does seem to me that all is good. And not least because maybe the guy that's going to shine more than any of them is Kylian Mbappe. This game is being treated as Kylian Mbappe sort of, I want to call it his coming out party as a PSG player on the world stage because you beat Bayern 3-0.
Yep.
I've got thumbs up to, this is deep, Kylian Mbappe's soul.
Oh, wow.
Spelled S-O-L-E.
There it is.
If you've seen the third goal, Mbappe does that great thing. I don't think he gets the assist because it ends up being deflected before Neymar scores. But he absolutely fools David Alaba. He fakes like he's going to shoot, and then he does that simple but brilliant trick where you just roll your foot across the top of the ball. You can change the whole direction of the ball and fake you're going the other way and slow things down. Perfect Kylian Mbappe stuff. I'm thumbs up on the Dani Alves Kylian Mbappe partnership.
Yeah.
So the Cavani goal we talked about, did you see Mbappe's just hanging out, makes a bursting run. Alves knows exactly what he's doing, slips him into space. I think that's a really good hookup down that right side. A lot of pace, a lot of threat.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously they're doing fine on their own, but you do start to understand why Man City wanted Dani Alves so much, because he does bring about that attacking flair, but also it seems like that kind of cohesion, even if he was a little bit involved in this quote-unquote feud.
Yeah.
But he's still, his ability to figure stuff out, charge at defenses, but serve as a leader. Very good player, this Dani Alves. I don't know if you knew that or not, Daryl.
I did know that.
You had heard that before, had you? Okay.
Are you ready to move on to some Bayern talk?
I mean, I think we pretty much have to.
All right, so thumbs down to Bayern. They should have drank some Red Bull.
Yeah.
Do you know why?
I mean, because they were lethargic?
No, because Red Bull gives you wings, and Bayern went with no wingers. They went into this game with a front three of Lewandowski.
I still think that maybe a couple like energy boosts might have helped them in this game.
Also that, but they had three central midfielders, and then they had Lewandowski, Thomas Muller, and James Rodriguez as their front three. There was absolutely no width. The only width came from Kimmich and Alaba trying to get forward. I think it really kind of weirdly unbalanced their formation. I saw, I didn't watch full 90 minutes of this, I watched it in chunks, but I saw a couple of times David Alaba would get forward down the left and he'd just be on his own. He had no one. He ended up crossing from quite deep because there's no overlapping run. Because Muller likes to be in the middle, James likes to be in the middle, or more likely they like to come deep and try and connect. And I think Ancelotti was thinking, I'll get numbers in the middle, but there was just nothing going on out wide. But I mentioned that for the first goal, Neymar presses and Kimmich coughs up the ball. Part of that is he didn't have an option. I don't think he didn't have another option out wide because he was out wide on his own.
Yeah, and that's why when we talked about like heading into the studio, we were talking a little bit about Ancelotti being relieved of his managerial duties. But I also think this game is a really good indicator of why Ancelotti was let go. And obviously, that's not that like bold of a statement given that they lost 3-0 in the Champions League.
The big reason is the result, right? It's losing 3-0 in the Champions League to PSG coupled with recent results.
See, I'm not sure it is, though. I think it's the fact that, like, what we've heard coming out of the Bayern camp and from, like, little leaks here and there is that he is so much more relaxed.
They're talking about this in Little League? Is that what you said?
Yeah, exactly. Little leaks here and there, yeah. Yes. Little League Baseball is where I got all my information about Champions League teams.
About Bayern Munich.
Yeah. But the leaks, with a K, that have come out have indicated that basically players who initially were very tired of playing under Pep Guardiola because it was so demanding and so rigorous and training was so challenging are now sort of like, at first they kind of loved the laid-back style of Ancelotti. Now they feel like, I'm not really getting any better, I'm not improving. And on top of that, we don't really have that game plan in place. So he might have said, let's just do this, let's try that. But they're not really drilling and like having it kind of ground into them that this is what we're going to do. So then you go out, and if you have that laid-back approach, like, let's just try that, but you don't really have any like inspiration behind it or explanation behind it. We talked about this yesterday with our coaching styles and our coaching philosophies of like, you can't just put people on the field and be like, go do a 4-1-4-1. Like, you've got to explain how to do that.
But are we sure Ancelotti's doing that, or is it just the contrast between Ancelotti and Pep Guardiola?
I think I'm not sure that he's just like, go out there and do it, but I do know from like what I've read from the sources I've heard of, I guess it's all what I've read. I'm not saying I have sources in the Bayern camp, but that it's so laid back that players don't feel like they're being challenged. And I feel like this result, not just the scoreline, but the way it came about and how comprehensively Bayern were defeated, I think it pointed to a lot of people as, we are not being challenged, they're not being pushed, and things are not working the way they need to be, so maybe it's time to change things up.
Man, I'm interested in this sort of Ancelotti after Pep kind of thing. It reminds me of, do you remember when you had like exams, like really big exams, like your finals or whatever, and you knew there was an end date when you'd done all the studying, you'd done the exam, that you had nothing planned the week after, and you're like, I can't wait for that, it's going to be amazing, I won't do anything. Then you got so focused on studying and all that, and then you get to that next day, like maybe the first day's good, you're just like, oh, this is great, I can just watch TV, I can hang out. The second day, you're like, I don't know what to do. This is boring. Like, I liked it better when there was loads of stuff going on. And I feel like you do have this like slow down.
I don't think I know that feeling at all. No, I think I'm generally pretty relieved when the exams are over and I have nothing to do.
But like in the long term, once it's over, you're sort of like, oh, I missed the buzz and the energy of being into that.
But I mean, again, really, I think a big part of it is that players feel like they're not getting better. And that it's sort of like, we're still winning and that's great, but it's not like I am suddenly going back to my international team and being awesome for Poland or Germany or whomever. It's sort of like, I'm kind of stagnating a little bit.
This thing you're talking about, do you think that's the main reason and that this has been coming? Because to me it feels like, it was a bad result to lose 3-0 to PSG, but it's not like losing 3-0 to, I don't know, Anderlecht or a much, much smaller team. So why... Like, to me, it still felt like a shock, but you seem like you don't think it's
it's definitely a shocking result. I mean,
because we would expect it to be like a couple months of bad results, and then the Bayern board are like, you know what, Ancelotti, we're going to switch it up.
I mean, this has been like rumored for over a year. Like, there's been talk of him not being as like firm in the locker room and not really controlling things.
I don't read the gutter press.
And fair, but it's still like they can still coast to the Bundesliga title. At least last season, maybe this season they can't. Given
that's
that
true, they are not
top
top right now, right? Borussia Dortmund are.
Yeah, and then you could maybe be like, oh, but we're doing fine in the Champions League, but then you lose here, and you start to wonder, like, ooh, maybe we need to shake things up, get a little bit tighter, get in a new coach, maybe a young coach, maybe a coach who's managed in the Bundesliga and has like a lot of promise and potential ahead of him.
So is it Nagelsmann?
That would be my guess.
Since Hoffenheim famously beat Bayern, it seems to be that like that was kind of a moment when maybe someone in the Bayern building room was like,
I mean, again,
he should take quick throws.
As I said, this has been like there have been rumors about this for I really do think like over a year.
Yeah.
There's been some concern about Ancelotti, and to act now, it does make me wonder if they've already identified the successor and approached the successor and have a plan in place. Because I can't imagine they'd be like, "Oh, we're just going to go interim manager for the next 3 months."
Yeah. So Nagelsmann would take some persuading, right? Don't you have to negotiate with the Hoffenheim board of like what compensation you're going to pay them and all that? Thomas Tuchel is free right now.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the case. I think if you are a young German manager, there's a decent chance that at some point in your career, be it when you were 6 or 12 or 20, you have fantasized about managing Bayern Munich.
I think Nagelsmann is either 6 or 12 or 20.
Yeah. So I think there's a...
He's actually like 30,
I think he's that
right?
combined, maybe, those 3 numbers. I think there's a decent chance that they will pretty... easily lure him out if that's who they identify as the target.
So I guess, the lure of Bayern is the same for young coaches as it is for young players. Like Lewandowski, for example, couldn't resist. Mats Hummels couldn't resist going back. Like it was, everyone gets drawn into Bayern eventually.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess watch this space. We'll probably know in the next couple days which way this is going.
It is pretty odd that Thomas Tuchel is still without a job. I'll say that. So maybe it is Nagelsmann goes to Bayern, and then Thomas Tuchel slides right into Hoffenheim. You never know. Never know.
I think you got it. I think you got it. All right. Unlike Ancelotti, should we get back to work in the Champions League? What else you got, Taylor?
Should we go to Atletico Madrid 1, Chelsea 2?
If that's where you want to take me.
Sure. I'm going to go thumbs up to Alvaro Morata for embodying power and finesse. One of my favorite finishing drills. But in this game...
Can you explain for people who have not... I honestly feel like people who haven't been in our coaching sessions will not know what power and finesse is.
Yeah, so it's I think, one of the better
Actually,
shooting
some of the people
in
our coaching sessions don't quite get power and finesse.
This is true. So it's essentially you like dribble through some cones, you have like a power shot from distance, but then as soon as you shoot, there's a person on the post who has a soccer ball, they play the ball to about the penalty spot, and the idea is that you finish with finesse. So you pick your spot. So you learn when you're shooting from distance how to shoot with power. When you're up close, don't just crush the ball, place the ball into the side netting.
And I'm still amazed. I think this is a good drill, but I'm still amazed how many people think it's power and then power, because either like just the instinct is to hit it powerfully or just well, my finesse is also powerful, so I'm going to hit it twice.
Yep. And then that works right up until you shoot the ball right at the goalkeeper when it otherwise would have been an open goal.
But you're saying Morata knows the difference.
No, I'm saying that he embodies power and finesse, because for Chelsea's first goal, it's a lovely little
header,
flicked on header that's, I would say, a very finesse header to the far post side netting. It's a great little finesse goal, knowing his position in relation to the goal.
Yep. It's a redirect.
Yep. But then in the first half, Diego Godin goes down fairly easily, not much pressure from Alvaro Morata. Some say it was a dive. Either way, he gets the free kick. In the second half, when there's a 50-50 ball, Alvaro Morata smashes Diego Godin, just bodies him off the ball. Legally, mind you, not a foul.
It's like shoulder to shoulder, right?
Yeah, and I saw somebody on Twitter write, he hits him all the way back to the farms of Uruguay, which I thought was a good description for how hard he hits him.
What farms?
I don't know. Maybe that's where he's from. Who knows? I don't know. Twitter says things, and I write them down. So anyway, I just enjoy that kind of those two sides of the coin for Alvaro Morata in this game.
You also showed me Chelsea's winning goal, and we were both really impressed with it.
Thumbs up I have for Chelsea's possession over panic. They have a free kick from like the left-hand side of the box about 30 yards out, and rather than just there's 3 minutes of injury time, so it's in the 93rd minute. They end up scoring in the 94th minute, about 16 seconds.
So it's basically the last. You'd win this free kick, which is in a crossing position from goal. You would expect that you'd be thinking last kick of the game. Let's just get it in the mixer. Let's get it in there and see what happens. Especially when we've got Gary Cahill, we've got Morata, we've got some big guys, David Luiz. We can see whose head we can get this on. They don't do that.
They don't, because as we've talked about before, the reality is we always have this idea that a corner is this great clear-cut opportunity. In reality, I forget what the number is, but it takes 80 corner kicks on average to score a goal. Something insane. 80. It's something insane like that, where 80. I think only one in 10. I think it's only 1 in 10 times you get a shot on goal from a corner, and then only one of in every 8 shots leads to a goal. Wow. So then you expound that further.
Unless you're playing Liverpool.
Well, then there's that. But I think that's the same thing here, that there is this desire, just put it in the box, we'll see what happens. But so often that just leads to ball headed back to midfield, and then you lump in it again, and maybe that something happens, but probably not.
Yeah.
In this situation, Chelsea really calmly, especially given time constraints, Maybe it's because they're away from home. Move that ball around the top of the box, do a few probing passes in. It eventually falls to N'Golo Kante at the top of the box. He's unmarked. Plays it to Bakayoko. Bakayoko with a lovely flick to Marcos Alonso. Alonso plays that ball in. And it's a great goal from Batshuayi.
It's a good
I mean, that's what it feels like, because it was that, just sharp passing.
Yeah.
It was like bing, 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 back of the net.
Yeah.
And it was really, really smart possession play from Chelsea.
All right, so normally when we do commentary, I do the play-by-play and you do the colour. I guess we're switching it around here. Here's what I'll say. The colour I want to add here is, the reason this is so good is because the normal thing is to just serve that ball in for a cross.
Yep.
Atletico are initially set up. They're all crowded around the top of the 18. Their entire team, more or less. They're set up to defend that ball straight into the box. So if you're sort of playing into their hands if you do play that ball, right? But if you play it short, then suddenly you're doing a thing that they're set up to defend the opposite, right? So you're doing a thing they're not set up to defend. That's why it's got probably a higher chance of working, because you're going against the grain.
Yeah, because you're basically pulling them out of position. They're all pumped up to head this ball out. Make sure we keep it tight. Oh, they passed the ball. Scramble. Everybody step. And that's what I think happens is Koke completely loses N'Golo Kante, because I think he's so focused on, we got to step last minute. We got to defend. And because Koke drifts, N'Golo Kante is wide open and can find that pass into the feet of Bakayoko.
Oh, if you could combine Koke and Kante into N'Golo Kante, you'd have one hell of a player.
I mean, I love this idea, and I think we should explore it further.
We should get that fly machine.
The one thing I didn't love is Diego Costa's face. I'm going to say thumbs down to Diego Costa's sad face.
What? I didn't see this.
Because after that last second goal, camera cuts to Diego Costa. He looks very sad. He has the hand over the face. He doesn't really move. Cuts back to Atletico players looking sad, Chelsea players celebrating as the final whistle goes. 25 seconds later, it cuts back to Diego Costa making the exact same face in the exact same position. And it makes
so Costa has signed for Atletico, but because of their transfer ban, he can't play until January, right? So he's just hanging out at Atletico.
And it makes me think that
touring the new stadium.
It's a little bit similar to if you break up with your boyfriend or girlfriend, and then you're run into them 6 months later, and you're sort of I bet they've totally let themselves go now that we broke up, and then it's oh no, they look awesome and are really happy and are playing have a wonderful job and everything seems great.
And my understudy from last season just scored.
Yes, and I am sitting out on the sidelines as they tear it up on the dance floor. I guess we're at a wedding in this made up scenario.
Heartbreaking, heartbreaking stuff. All right, Taylor. I'll move us on to give a quick thumbs up to Mario Mandzukic of Juve for inventing, or at least perfecting, the kneeling header. So he scored in the 2-0 win over Olympiacos.
Not sure he perfected it.
He's such a tall guy that he didn't need to dive on the floor to make this. He just was kneeling down and just nodded it in. Beautiful kneeling header from Mario Mandzukic for Juve.
Are you intentionally dramatically overstating this?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure, because for a second I just thought that you thought headed goal, you had really lowered the bar on headed goals.
I mean, Mandzukic did.
That's true. Yeah, basically it kind of falls to him at the far post, and he heads it into himself, I think, and then it goes into the goal. It is not a cleanly taken header, but it doesn't matter because it's a goal. Exactly.
What you got? What else you got?
I don't have anything from that game, although I do wonder how many Italian teams now have the looming specter of Carlo Ancelotti hanging over them.
Spectre of Carlo. You mean the managers are something Carlo's available.
Maybe I need to get to more results a little bit faster. I'm going to say from the Sporting Club de Portugal game, Sporting 0, Barcelona 1. First of all, I'm going to say thumbs down to the pitch invader who kissed Leo Messi's feet. Come on, man. He goes in, Messi hugs him, they have a chat, Messi gives him another hug and kind of rubs his head. And then the dude
Portuguese guy?
I guess so. Drops down and kisses Messi's feet. Come on. He's great. I cannot imagine a situation where I would think that was a thing I would want to do.
Right foot or left foot?
I'm not sure. Probably left foot.
I'm going to assume left foot. Right foot would be not worth it.
Still, I'm just saying. Also, I would say have a little respect would be Seydou Doumbia. I'm going to say thumbs down to him for diving, getting you more than just cards. So I
forgot about this.
We think maybe doesn't dive for the first little incident, but
I think he does. So it's Umtiti looks real angry, right?
Yeah, it's a free
about
kick
Doumbia going down. I see Doumbia holding his ankle
and rolling around a little bit.
They take it quickly, and then Doumbia suddenly is sprinting top speed. You can't do that if your ankle was just that hurt.
You could not, but what you can do, I guess, is receive the ball, then leave a foot behind, drag it, so you're trying to get that penalty. I think, first of all,
PK's the defender, right?
Yeah, I think he starts doing it outside the box, so even if the referee had bit, it would have been not a penalty, but the referee does not. spots the obvious dive, gives him the yellow card, except Doumbia does not pop up because he has injured himself diving. Don't leave that foot behind so dramatically, I guess. Subbed off 4 minutes later. So he gets a yellow and a substitution for diving. Let that be a lesson.
I would say he suffers from over-simulation.
Good stuff today.
Same game.
Dad jokes on point.
Same game, I want to say. Thumbs up to Barcelona for expanding their own goal repertoire. So, against Girona the past weekend, Barca profited from 2 Girona own goals in a 3-0 win. They win this game with an own goal from Sebastian Coates, the Uruguayan, who you may remember from sort of playing for Sunderland and sort of playing for Liverpool back in the day. But not only is it a Coates own goal that gives them the win.
I think he played for Liverpool for 4 seasons, by the way.
Is that right? But was loaned out quite a lot, right? Yeah. It was even Jeremy Mathieu who flicked it on in his own box to Sebastian Coates with a little sort of a little deflection off of Luis Suarez. Right?
After saying like in the preceding few days, like if I score against Barcelona, I'm going to celebrate. Like I was mistreated.
He really talked it up, right? He was saying that he got blamed for a lot of stuff at Barcelona. That maybe people should look at PK like it was his fault for certain results. Mathieu did not cover himself in glory here.
So he sort of had the assist for a Sporting player putting the ball in the back of the net. So I guess he maybe could celebrate that.
Not how he imagined it.
Probably not. Probably not.
Maybe he did like a visualization technique, but didn't think about like the fact that you change ends at halftime.
Sure. I'm sure that's what happened.
Either way, 1-0 win to Barcelona against Sporting Club de Portugal.
I'm looking at the rest of mine, and it's about to be a lot of thumbs down. And it's about to be a lot of me not enjoying people making foolish decisions because I'm going to go to Man City. I'm going to say, first of all, Manchester City 2, Shakhtar 0. Good result for Man City.
Yeah.
But I'm saying thumbs up to Ball Don't Lie. Because, because Leroy Sané definitely dives to earn a penalty for Manchester City. Like, again, I understand why the referee gives this because it's running at full speed. He leaves the foot out, but it looks like there's contact there. It looks like maybe he's the one who gets his foot kicked, not him trying to kick the other foot. But even then, I'm not sure there's contact. I'm not even sure there's contact when he tries to make contact to sell the penalty. But the penalty's given, taken by Sergio Aguero, and saved. So to me, that is an obvious example of Ball not lying, and I always appreciate when that happens.
Well done, Ball.
Yeah.
From the same game, another thumbs up to what I want to call the underappreciated efforts of David Silva, right? So I don't know if it's the shaved head thing, or maybe there's just so many big names at Man City now that we focus less on Silva. But I believe he makes the first goal by doing that Neymar thing of drawing people towards him, then finding Kevin De Bruyne, who is unmarked, I think, because they're all panicking about Silva. And then isn't it Silva who gets the assist to Raheem Sterling for the second goal as well? I think he gets to the end line and cuts it back. David Silva is an assist machine.
He's pretty good.
He is.
I wasn't a huge fan of the shaved head, but it seems to be working for him.
Right, yeah. Even if I'm wrong, he's reverse Samson.
Yep.
Even if I'm wrong about that second goal assist, he still is a machine.
Okay, that works. Where else shall we go, Daryl Grove?
I want to go, weirdly, to Switzerland.
Okay.
FC Basel beat Benfica 5-0. This one jumps off the page to me because you think Benfica's the bigger team, right?
I do. Can I ask a quick question? Just as a clarification. We're like 100% sure it's Ball, right? Not Basel?
Nope.
Because I feel like we heard that at the same time and we both just rolled with it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's Ball, but it's worth noting there that like there is also a chance that we heard just somebody like sneeze in the middle of saying Basel and we didn't really recognize that.
Or
like yawned. Yawned would be more likely.
I say it as if I'm 100% sure, but I'm not 100% sure.
All right. But let's go like with it like it is. So FC Basel.
FC Basel, thumbs up
Benfica
for a 5-0 win over Benfica. And especially thumbs up to Dimitri Oberlin.
Yep.
So Dimitri Oberlin on loan from, I believe, one of the Red Bulls. Might be on loan from Salzburg, not Leipzig. Definitely not from New York. For the best defensive header of all time. It turned into a 1-2 that he got on the end of to score. So this is a Benfica corner kick comes in. I honestly think you should try and watch this if you can find a clip. Oberlin has
Don't worry, guys. A link will be in the show notes.
Oh, you put it on me now. Okay. Oberlin has such a big header that it clears to like the right wing.
Yep.
And then after he heads it, he immediately sprints straight down the middle. It's Renato Steffen, it says in my notes, returns the pass to Oberlin to run on the end of and score. So a Benfica corner, Oberlin header, Oberlin goal.
Yeah, and if ever there were soccer gods, they existed in this game because you're right, it's a brilliant defensive header, but then it's all of that effort to sprint like literally from inside his own 6-yard box to the opposition 6-yard box.
He goes 6-yard box to 6-yard box.
Yeah, or like maybe like right around the penalty spot. spot. I think he ends up in the 6-yard box. But when he takes that final touch inside the Benfica penalty, penalty box, it is a very lazy touch, and that's where I feel like the soccer gods.
I think lazy is the wrong word.
You're right. It's a very heavy touch. Is a better way to put it. An exhausted touch.
Yeah.
But I feel like that was the soccer gods being like, no. He's worked out enough. We must reward him. So then they reward him with, I guess, a lunging tackle from...
Yeah, I was going to say, it's Julio Cesar.
Who's still alive and playing soccer.
He's 38, still playing for Benfica. I honestly thought after Toronto it was over for him, but apparently not.
Yeah, I thought the same, which is why when I saw him and his mustache, I was like, wait, no, that is not who I think it is.
Cesar? Yep,
but he comes off his line, gets the ball between his legs. I don't necessarily think that's his fault because he's rushing off his line. Either way, soccer gods helped out Oberlin there.
Can I give a thumbs down to me on this? Because when I realised the same thing as you, my initial reaction was, he's too old to be playing soccer. Looks up his age.
Yep.
He's 2 months older than me.
Yep.
And he's a goalkeeper.
Yep.
And he's playing professional soccer.
Yep.
So
age ain't nothing but a number, man.
Yeah,
but I'll say thumbs down to Andre Almeida for attempting to murder Raul Petrata. Yes. Same game.
Sent off, right?
A big part of why I think things went from bad to worse for Benfica
it was
is because
3-0 when this red card happened.
True. And then, so I guess 3-0, 2 more goals, whatever. It's bad already. But in this situation, Almeida megs Petrata. Then Petrata kind of does what you have to do when you've been megged, and all of a sudden you're like, oh no. Now he's by me, and he's kind of in like a very dangerous situation.
He's to the end line, right?
So he gives him like the jersey tug to like the right shoulder a little bit. Almeida stops because he thinks a free kick's going to be given. When that free kick isn't given, rather than think like, all right, well, I'm going to make a really good defensive play, or that sucks, I'm going to have a word with the referee when the ball goes out of bounds, goes like the most obvious 2-footed lunging tackle you can possibly imagine.
He's right in front of him and just lunges as if he's had to run and like lunge to get there, like he's sliding for home plate.
I mean, the camera being as far away as it could be from this incident, you're still like, oh no, like that is an obvious straight red. And it was one of those when the commentators don't even have to do like, oh, he might be off here, he could see red. It's like, oh, he is off the field. Goodbye.
And then Almeida afterwards is like showing the jersey pull to the referee as if that's going to convince him.
Well, it's I don't know. It's like as if you like you drank the last Coca-Cola that had my name on it in the refrigerator, so that I shot you, and the police were like you shot him, you're under arrest. And I'm like, yeah, but he did drink the last cola.
Like, show the police the Coke
It's just such. They'd be like, yeah, I get it. Still can't do that. Like, it doesn't justify what you've just done. It's a very odd sort of act. Like, it does speak to the kind of way your brain can shut off at times when you're playing sports. And it's like, this wasn't fair, and therefore I am justified in trying to break his leg.
I've also learned, don't drink the last Coke bottle in the fridge in the
if it has my name on it is a key distintion there. If it has no label.
Okay.
We don't label anything on our fridge, by the way.
Your name's not Zero Sugar by any chance, is it?
Oh, it is actually. Yeah,
I could be in all
my
kinds
given name. I go by Taylor.
In all kinds of trouble.
Yeah.
I also want to give a thumbs up to FC Basel as a whole, and I want to sort of weirdly recommend it to US players going overseas, because it seems to me that FC Basel has become a really good sort of launch pad for getting into bigger European leagues. And maybe all the players that get tempted to go to Scandinavia, maybe they should try and go to the Swiss league, because it really has been a good gateway for people. And it seems like FC Basel sell their players, right? Like Brilliant Bolo or whoever gets sold from there. I'm not convinced he was at FC Basel, and I've said that. They go to like a bigger team like Schalke or whoever, but then FC Basel reload and they come back and beat Benfica 5-0.
Yeah.
So they're always looking for exciting young new players. It might be a good spot for US players.
There's also always
Tyler Adams to FC Basel.
Decent chance you're always going to be in Europa League at worst. I think they're in 4th place right now. He says looking at the Swiss Super League table.
Yeah. It's early days though.
Yeah. Well, my point is simply that it's not as though I just happen to know where FC Basel are in the table, which is kind of how I made that sound.
I have a final thumbs down to Vasily Berezutski and his baseball career.
All right.
Because he had a swing and a miss.
Yes, he did.
Against Manchester United. There's a cross comes in from, I'm not sure, maybe Martial? I'm not sure if you're still on at that point. Berezutski just tries to do that simple, meet it, side-footed clearance, get rid. He misses. This is a very experienced defender, by the way. He's a Russian national team player. It bounces through to Lukaku at the far post for a very, very easy finish.
Strangely, I don't have this as a thumbs down. I can't imagine why. I wonder if it has anything to do with the fact that I was very happy to see that ball in the back of the net.
I guess.
And checking the stats, it is indeed Anthony Martial with the assist.
Yeah,
so well done to you, my friend.
Yeah.
And well done to Man United. Anything else from this game?
From this game, I mean, I guess thumbs up to Lukaku for his 2 goals, right? He just keeps on scoring. And I'm enjoying the Lukaku, Morata rivalry.
Yeah.
Right? There was talk about who should be the best. Those two don't seem to care. They just keep banging in goals. I don't think they're motivated motivated by each other, but it's an interesting thing to watch. I mentioned this like on the weekend review of just two high-priced strikers just getting it done
succeeding,
and scoring a bunch of goals.
Nice. Yeah. It's nice to not give that sort of like, you know that newspaper editors in England are just waiting. They've got it all queued up, all the stories about like, oh, he's struggling, and there's a huge price tag. So I'm glad we've been able to avoid that. That said, Daryl, you're being a little bit loud right now. And I don't think I can do this podcast anymore. So I need to sub out, and someone has to come in because you're just talking a little bit too loud and you're hurting my ears.
I forgot about this.
I like that for a second you thought I was sincere.
I wondered where we were going.
Yeah.
This is the strangest thing that happened.
Absolutely it is.
This match day.
Yeah.
This whole Champions League so far.
Yeah.
Would you like to explain since you brought it up?
In Beşiktaş's 2-0 win over RB Leipzig, which was played in Istanbul, in Beşiktaş's home ground, RB Leipzig forward Timo Werner requested to be subbed off because there are varying reports here. Some people say that he had like a circulation problem or balance issues, but it definitely seems like a huge like compounding factor was the noise that we saw him. We watched the video. We saw him go get earplugs. He wears earplugs for a decent amount of time.
I want to say like 10 minutes is when he goes to the sideline to ask for earplugs, and it's 31 minutes when he asks to sub out. And I think, aren't they already 1-0 down at that point?
Yes,
so they definitely needed Timo Werner, who's like maybe, almost definitely their most dangerous, definitely their fastest striker.
Yes. And even then, I was still like, but maybe there's something else going on. Like maybe he had like a he felt something go, and that's why he asked to be subbed off. Then the exhibit A would be after the match. He said, "I have never seen such an atmosphere in my life. I could not focus on the match. I asked for a headset, and it did not help either. I still do not feel well." I think that's the translation of earplugs, basically.
I see, yeah.
The other more obvious one would be that RB Leipzig's U.S. or English Twitter account tweeted a gif of like Archer, like when he is like trying to get his ear clear, and it says like, not only are we 1-0 down, but now we think we have tinnitus. So that seems to indicate that maybe there was some inner ear problems for Timo Werner.
And didn't the Leipzig coach Hasenhüttl afterwards didn't really make any excuses for Timo Werner? He basically said, we found out which guys can handle it and which guys can't. I don't have the exact quote, I'm sorry, but it's essentially, he didn't say like, oh yeah, he'd been struggling with a headache beforehand or anything like that. It genuinely was like he just couldn't handle the noise in the Beşiktaş stadium.
Yeah.
I feel like we've done a lot of thinking and talking about this off air. Didn't you come to the idea that it's not just that like he's a wimp and it's like, oh, it's loud, I don't like it, but there is like an actual physical effect of something being too loud?
I think a couple of different people on Reddit pointed out. I'll go with DJ Centurion is the username. The inner ear contains the semicircular canals and vestibules for balance. So basically loud noise combined with circulatory issues, which he said he was also experiencing, can lead to dizziness and balance problems. Okay. So I'm wondering if maybe he was just kind of dizzy, couldn't really balance, couldn't really focus. The noise didn't really help either, so no matter what he did, he couldn't feel right.
Apparently, right.
Yeah, and so then maybe that was enough for him to say, I need to be out of this.
So I get that thing of the inner ear. I know that the inner ear is very much involved in your balance, because don't people have an ear infection and get kind of dizzy and like can't stand up straight kind of thing? So maybe this is basically what's happened with Werner, right? It's so loud, he's maybe got slightly sensitive hearing. Maybe he has super hearing, like an X-Man.
Yep.
That the effects of that are to make him like dizzy, so he can't like, he can't focus and he's dizzy. It's different to just being like, oh, my ears hurt, it's loud. It's a genuine physical problem. You can't play soccer if you're dizzy.
You cannot. I'll also add...
Dizzy penalties prove that.
Yeah, it's true. Oh, man. I hate being dizzy. I really do. It's the one thing I can't handle.
Have you ever taken a dizzy penalty?
Yes, and I was terrible. I think I whiffed the ball.
I've never done it. If you look at even really good professional players cannot kick a ball straight when they're dizzy.
I think when I was 12, I was at a summer camp and we had to do the dizzy bat spin where you spin around the bat 20 times, then you have to do a relay race. I did it 20 times, immediately fell, cracked a tooth. Oh. So I think since then I have not enjoyed any sort of dizzy competition.
And for anyone who's unfamiliar with the dizzy penalty, it's basically what you just described with the baseball bat, but the soccer penalty kick version of that, right?
Yep. And then I was so embarrassed about doing this, I want to add, I cracked a tooth to the extent that half the back of my tooth was gone, so I had an exposed nerve for an entire weekend. Didn't tell anybody because I was so embarrassed. But you can imagine how much pain that was for a 12-year-old. I was like, nope, not telling anybody. Hurts so bad.
So that could have been Timo Werner's day at Beşiktaş. I did think about this as well. I'm not sure they knew that Timo Werner had sensitive hearing.
Yeah.
But, when you talk about the fans being the 12th man and trying to be intimidating and put opponents off their game, the Beşiktaş fans, were literally so loud. They had Red Bull RB Leipzig's best player sub out of the game with dizziness. That is the all-time sort of achievement for fans in a sort of non-violent, non-aggressive, just singing really loud kind of way.
Until the next game, because this is definitely not going to deter them. So I imagine the next game they're going to be louder and even more intimidating.
Like whichever player has the most sensitive hearing on each team will get subbed out of everybody who plays Besiktas.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll say that my wife and I lived. It was like a small park, and then from that park we were like 2 blocks. So maybe
in Istanbul from
maybe like a 4-minute walk to the stadium from where we were living in Istanbul, and that was the old stadium, what was like much more open and kind of like wider and squatter.
So you showed me a picture. It looks like just a regular old football stadium, right? Nothing special about it.
It was, because they basically added on in sections at the time, so it would be like every like 15 years we'll get a new stand or something. And it was super loud then, to the extent that like you could not even open the windows and still hear exactly what was happening.
So that's nothing specific about the structure of that stadium. It's just that the fans were loud.
No, because that was when we lived there. Since then, they played at like another stadium for a year, the Olympic Stadium, because they tore that stadium down and built a state-of-the-art one, which is enclosed and higher up and much more like right on top of you.
Okay.
So it was already incredibly loud when it was open and squat. And now you imagine it's all together and enclosed. It's much louder.
So what I'm saying is that it sounds to me like they were loud even when there was nothing special about the stadium in terms of acoustics. Then you add that into a stadium that's kind of big and on top of you, and then you sort of double the volume, and suddenly Timo Werner can't stand up straight.
Yeah, pretty much. Still a very weird story.
Do you know, was the Besiktas Stadium designed to be like, hey, we got loud fans. We are famously the ones with the signs that are like, welcome to hell.
Well, that's Galatasaray.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. But was there a deliberate thing of like, we got loud fans, let's make the most of it?
Yeah, probably. I mean, yeah, I would assume so.
Like, they didn't hire regular engineers, they hired acoustic engineers for their stadium.
I mean, I would not be surprised. They're definitely a vocal bunch, the Besiktas fans,
the guy's
for
like,
sure.
My last job was a Philharmonic. It's really weird that I'm doing soccer stadiums now. Oh, but Timo Werner's coming in 3 years. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm on it.
We'll make it work.
Anything else from the Champions League?
No, I think that's about it for me.
Incorrect, because today's ad is Roughneck Scarves.
It's like you baited me a little bit there.
Thank you to Roughneck Scarves for sponsoring today's show. Roughneck Scarves are the official provider. If you're a long-time listener, you'll be able to say this with us. They're the official provider of scarves for US Soccer, Major League Soccer, USL, and NCAA.
That is correct.
You can also create your own custom scarves and sell them via roughneckscarves.com.
That you can.
So guess what we did? We tweeted out and asked, if you were to sort of represent this Champions League match day games in a scarf, in a custom designed scarf, what would be on that scarf? And the answers are...
Many different answers, of which Daryl has selected 6, I think. Starting with Kenton Staler, who says, not Carlo Ancelotti. So no, just a scarf that doesn't have Carlo Ancelotti on it.
Ancelotti.
I think that's maybe a custom scarf that would be fairly easy to create.
I like the idea that you could contact Roughneck Scarves and they ask what you want on your scarf. You just say, not Carlo Ancelotti, and just see what they come back with.
Would you do the silhouette of him? Because it's like, but I guess that is still him then, so I don't know what you do.
There'd be a Roughneck Scarf designer who's either super into having that weird challenge or really annoyed that they've got a bad client.
See, I like the idea of even taking it to like the opposite extreme of like it's a skinny man with not obvious eyebrows, something like that.
You just do everything opposite.
Yeah.
Okay, Jeff Huffman says he would have on the scarf Edinson Cavani kicking Ancelotti out a door.
Okay.
And Neymar refusing to congratulate him.
All right.
We kind of talked about this. We did. Yeah. You did say you didn't see it originally, but he did go and sort of hug Cavani afterwards. But I think
I'm going to say obligatory hug, not celebratory.
Yeah, because what I saw is that Neymar went to Mbappe first to congratulate him. And I think that's not bad stuff on Neymar's part. I think it's because, hey, 18-year-old teenager, you just did a massive thing in the very early minutes of our massive game against Bayern. So it's more about congratulating him than shunning Cavani.
Things can be two things.
You don't look
what
convinced.
I have to say. Things can be two things. Alex Quast says Pep, Conte, Pochettino, and Mourinho celebrating together while Klopp looks through the locked door.
What's this about?
Because we have not mentioned it yet, but Liverpool drew 1-1 with Spartak Moscow.
Yeah.
I think Liverpool fans weren't so thrilled by once again conceding a goal that they probably shouldn't have conceded.
Yeah.
First of all, conceding the free kick, then what I think a lot of people, the consensus would say was a savable free kick, not being saved. So instead of getting 3 points in the Champions League, you come away with 1.
They did get that awesome 1-2 though with was it Coutinho and I think it was Mane. There's a really nice sort of 1-2 move that he gets on the end of.
It's definitely Coutinho.
It's
definitely Coutinho
because he scores, right? And you got to feel bad for the Spartak Moscow players because the sign that the fans held up at the start was win or die, and they tied 1-1. So I guess Spartak have to replace their whole squad.
Yeah, I think so.
That's how that works.
I'm sure they're not going to be thrilled about that one, but yeah.
John Adams, not that one, says just the group age table on both sides. Hashtag come on you Spurs. I think we know what he's getting at.
I think we do. Tanner Hildman says, Facebook logo, Neymar and Cavani hugging on top of a pile of money, and Pulisic sitting on a bench.
So the PSG Bayern, we didn't know this because we watched via Fox Soccer Match Pass, was streamed live on Facebook.
Yeah.
I would be really interested, what were people's experience with the grammar's all over the place, I don't know. What was your experience with watching PSG Bayern via Facebook? Did it feel okay? Was it weird? Was it choppy? Really interested to know.
All right. Also really interested to let people know that our sponsor today was Roughneck Scarves.
It certainly was.
Yeah.
And if you'd like to get 20% off any scarf you can find in the shop at roughneckscarves.com, use the discount code TOTALSoccerShow, all one word, all uppercase. You get 20% off. Thank you to Roughneck Scarves for sponsoring today's show.
Indeed.
I've just realised one result we didn't mention, which we should, is Celtic's 3-0 win over Anderlecht. Really good result for Celtic. Just saying that so that we don't get the tweets that are like, you didn't mention Celtic's 3-0 win over Anderlecht. We did. I just mentioned Celtic's 3-0 win over Anderlecht.
There we are. Well, before we get to scouting, Daryl Grove, I have a slight trivia game for you.
Oh, no.
So I asked you if you had seen any news.
Is it all about Celtic?
No, it is about Crystal Palace. I asked you if you had seen any news about Crystal Palace today. You said you had not.
No.
So they have some injury concerns. Obviously, Benteke with an injury. Connor Wickham, I think, still out with an injury. The window is closed.
They've got that game against the Monstars coming up.
Indeed. The window is closed. They may need some reinforcements. And so there is a player who has been strongly linked with them today in a number of different papers.
So it's going to be a player who's out of contract?
Yes.
And is available to sign with
I'm going to give
someone?
you some hints. I'm going to see how long it takes you to get
Ooh,
this.
okay.
He has played for England 7 times. His last cap coming in 2010.
2010?
He has previously played for Chelsea, Wolverhampton, West Ham, and Celtic, and the Sacramento Republic.
What?
And before that, he was playing in the Indonesian League, where he was just released.
Chelsea?
Yeah.
Wolves? Michael Mancienne?
Nope.
No. West Ham?
Sacramento Republic.
Sacramento Republic? I don't know.
Carlton Cole.
Carlton Cole! Oh, his spell at Wolves was brief.
7 games, 1 goal.
I saw one of the games in the flesh and he didn't do a lot.
Can you believe that Carlton Cole might be the answer for Crystal Palace?
No.
I know.
I did have a spell of thinking Carlton Cole should play for England, especially when he was doing really well at West Ham.
So did a number of England managers approximately 7 times. I just could not believe that story today because I absolutely would have thought he's another one. He's up there with Julio Cesar that I was like, oh, he must be retired at this point. So that Crystal Palace are thinking of him as their viable alternative.
Yeah. Well, I think if Benteke's out and they don't have another target man and Carlton Cole's available, I can see why that makes sense, especially on a short-term contract.
You've seen him play soccer before, right?
Well, not recently.
Yeah, exactly, because he was in the Indonesian League where he was released. Again, just throwing that out there.
But if he's fit and available and basically free, why not?
I think I've laid out my reasons. And with that, shall we move to the Scouting Network?
Yeah, let's move to the other end of the age scale.
We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 reports from 5 people. Ryan Marzak up first, scouting Josh Onoma, 20-year-old English midfielder on loan at Villa from Tottenham.
English Modric!
Since returning from injury, Onoma has played in 4 matches, 3 of which Villa won. He also scored a goal against Burton, coming on as a late substitute.
Okay, not a lot of detail in that scouting report, but I'm glad Josh Onoma is playing.
Yeah.
Willie Reid is scouting Jesus Vallejo, the 20-year-old Spanish centre-back for Real Madrid. Willie says Vallejo hasn't gotten much time with the senior team due to an injury suffered prior to the Super Cup game against Man United. That said, with Madrid's current list of injuries, if he can get fit and stay fit, then Willie theorises that there will be plenty of opportunities for Jesus this season. Spanish. Also, Dani Ceballos is a very fascinating player who has the potential to be Real Madrid's answer to Piqué and become Barcelona's most hated player, as he is very outspoken, sometimes getting pretty vulgar when talking about Catalonia, is what he would call it. Catalunya, Piqué would call it. He was player of the tournament at this summer's U21 Euros and played 105 senior games for Real Betis when Madrid bought him for only 17 million euros due to his buyout clause. Okay, so now I know who Dani Ceballos is. Was it me that was saying when you mentioned he'd scored, I was like, I don't know who that is.
I think you still might have to change that pronunciation if you want to fully claim to be familiar with him, because I'm going to say
Ceballos?
it's Ceballos.
Ceballos. That's what I said the whole time.
Yeah. Ryan Marzak could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Ryan Marzak scouting Pione Sisto, 22-year-old Danish attacker for Celta Vigo. Pione has been a busy man over the past 3 weeks. Since the return from the international break, he has started 4 La Liga matches for Celta Vigo. Celta went 2-1-1 in those games, but Pione shined, scoring 2 goals and recording 3 assists.
All right, go on, Pione. Clay Jenkins is scouting Jadon Sancho, the 17-year-old English left winger for Borussia Dortmund. Sancho was included in England's U17 World Cup squad. He has made 2 appearances for Dortmund's reserves this season, providing an assist in the 3-2 win over SV Rodinghausen.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Patrick Snyder scouting Nick Tategui, the 18-year-old American forward for Schalke's U19s. Tategui has been named by coach Omid Namazi to the U.S. U18 roster for some friendlies in Spain. The camp begins on October 2nd with games against Belgium and then Russia.
We keep hearing big things about Tategui, right? Like the big names at Schalke tend to be Weston McKennie and then Haji Wright, because he kind of had a profile and everyone knows about him. But Travis Clark, our co-host on the Top Draw Soccer Show, is big on Nick Tategui. So I think we should be excited about seeing what he does next.
I think we should too.
Dylan Viach is scouting Kai Havertz, the 18-year-old German attacking midfielder for Leverkusen. Dylan says Kai was on the bench for the entirety of Bayern's 3-0 win over Hamburg on Sunday. While spending a game on the bench isn't the worst thing, it's worrying that Bayern's new signing, Lucas Alario, was given his debut in a similar position to where Kai has been playing, paired alongside Volland. Kevin Volland, I believe. Alario has a debut goal and assist, so it looks like Kai will definitely have some competition going forward. Kai's one of those kids that's had it all his own way so far. Then he gets to 18 and sort of finds there's a bigger, more dangerous world.
See, we're bringing it full circle because you bring in another player who challenges you. Maybe everybody raises their game. Maybe Bruce Arena take note is all I'm saying.
Beautiful stuff, Taylor. If you'd like to join the Total Soccer Show Scouting Network, what's the URL, Taylor Rockwell?
Well, first of all, I want you to know that you're beautiful too. Second of all, that would be totalsoccershow.com/join.
Thank you very much. If you'd like to buy a T-shirt, the white logo T-shirts, that sale ended yesterday. Thank you to everyone who brought one. The T-shirts with the black logo, those are still available until the end of the month, so you have a couple days to buy a TSS T-shirt with a black logo. totalsoccershow.com/merch. The show notes are going to be full of links today.
And there's a chance that those are the last normal T-shirts for quite some time, because I think then I'm going to start adding in some ideas and things could get weird.
We're going to get creative and come up with some sort of interesting T-shirts to celebrate all things soccer, some Total Soccer Show specific things. We'll get some good. If you've got good T-shirt ideas, email them to Taylor, Taylor, at totalsoccershow.com. Just kidding. Email them to contact@totalsoccershow.com, and then we'll both see them.
Either is fine.
No, I want to be on it.
I
want final approval.
You don't want me doing this without you knowing what's going on?
Just a bit of oversight, I think, is a good thing.
I don't know if that's necessary. It'll be fine.
All right, Taylor, thank you for taking the time to talk to me today.
Right back at you, buddy.
Listeners, thank you for listening. It'll be Interview Friday tomorrow. I'll be talking, hopefully, to Noah Davis about his recent story about Sunil Gulati. So we're going to get deep on Sunil Gulati on Friday's Total Soccer Show. We'll also talk some US men's national team.
Sounds good to me.
Also, I'll be appearing on the Yanks Are Coming podcast, which should publish on Friday. If you want to hear some US men's national team Panama talk early, please go and download that. All right, listeners, thank you again for listening, and talk to you again tomorrow.